evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be here with you. And thank you so much for taking the time out to be here with us. As Executive Vice President for Marketing for Colgate-Palmolive India Limited, it fills my heart with pride that we were instrumental in getting 4.5 million Indians to screen their dental health over a period of 6 months. It's been an amazing journey. We are super proud of it. Not only did millions of Indians get to know more about their oral health, we got to know more about India's oral health. And if there is one rallying cry in this entire treasure trove of data that's rising up from beneath to the top, screaming for all of us to take notice, then that particular rallying cry is that India's oral health needs help. India's oral health needs help because India's average oral health score is 2.6 out of 5. If we take all the 4.5 million dental screening reports and spread them across different scores that we've got, on the right-hand side of this slide, you will see that it's heartening to see that about 19% of Indians have a score, a healthy score, of 4 or 5 out of 5. It is also disheartening to see on the left-hand side of the screen that about 50% of Indians have a score of just 2 or 1 out of 5. This is the case because 72% of Indians are at high risk of at least one dental problem. 14% at high risk of stains, 41% cavities, 44% gum issues. If we again take all the scores and spread them across different age cohorts, right from children to seniors on the other hand, you see that the overall oral health scores are pretty much even-steven around 2.5, just with the seniors being slightly lower. So it feels like a spread which is quite bland. But colors start emerging when you start layering it with different indications. Stains, for example, the risk goes up with age. Cavities, it peaks with children. It comes down slightly and then goes up again as you age. And the risk of gum issues keeps going up as we age. And now when you look at all of these different layers, you realize that since the load of dental issues is the highest on the shoulders of the seniors, that is why their scores are the most depressed. What we also see, and now we have all of this data, is that these different dental risks are different in different parts of the country. For example, from left to right, you see that stains risk is pretty high in Uttar Pradesh. Right in the center, cavities risk is high in Kerala. Whereas right on the right-hand side, you see that gums risk is pretty high in Gujarat. And we have all of this data. And we can slice and dice this data in multiple ways. But what all of this data is telling us in one unison voice is that the dental load of problems on this country is pretty high. So a fundamental question emerges. Why is that the case? Why is it that the dental load on this country is pretty high? And especially, why is it so high despite the fact that every household in this country has a toothpaste at home? We have 100% penetration of toothpaste. Then why is the dental load so high? Is having a toothpaste at home not good enough? And the answer to that is, yes, it's not good enough. It's not good enough because there are other factors that impact oral health. In fact, all the data that we've collected and all the knowledge that we have, we can very easily summarize your dental health outcomes in a very simple linear equation. A plus B plus C. India's oral health outcomes or your oral health outcomes are a function of 3 different variables. A, the oral care habits. B, your systemic health. And C, food consumption habits. And I'll talk very briefly about them. Let's look at oral care habits. Despite the fact that everybody's got a toothpaste at home, there are gaps with respect to oral care habits. Dentists recommend that everyone should brush twice daily. but 80% of urban Indians brush only once and not twice a day. 55% of rural Indians do not even brush daily. The average replenishment frequency of a toothbrush, again, according to dentists, should be once in 3 months. In India, the average is once in 9 months. And that is why, even at this point in time, 53% of Indians have a flowered toothbrush, or what we call a frayed toothbrush, which is harmful for teeth and gums. And again, it is recommended that one should visit dentists once every 6 months, but 91% of Indians did not visit a dentist even once in the last 1 year. So with respect to oral care habits, clearly there is a gap. And while there is a gap on oral care habits, there is also extra pressure that comes in the form of the rising systemic health problems and the rising consumption of foods and drinks that negatively affect oral care. We know that diabetes is on the rise, and our data tells us that diabetes has a very high correlation with gum problems. We know that tobacco is consumed by a large chunk of India's population, and that has a very negative correlation with stains. Similarly, if we snack very frequently during the day, many of us do, we call it anap shanap khana, there is a higher risk of gum issues. And if we all love sweets, and many of us again do, then there is a high risk of cavities, so on and so forth. So coming back to this fundamental equation, I like to see this as a weighing scale. If on the right-hand side, systemic health issues and food consumption habits are putting pressure on oral health on one side, it is imperative that oral care habits rise above the tide to balance the scale back. And therefore, it is absolutely imperative for all of us to come together. So again, as a representative of Colgate-Palmolive, I want to extend my hand and ask all of you to become part of the oral health movement. We need Indians to start brushing twice a day. We need Indians to replace their toothbrushes on time. We need Indians to go to dentists once every 6 months. We need Indians to get access to dental insurance. There is this need. We must join hands. The time is now. The time is right. India needs a movement. India needs the oral health movement. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.